the minute you work on yourself, that's when your business really booms.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Mindset and Wealth. I am your host, Jose Cereceres, and have the privilege to have this journey started with my beautiful wife, Denice Cereceres. Denice?
Guys, I'm so excited to be here and co host with my husband. We are excited to share all things real estate, all things mindset. I hope that you guys enjoy. I hope you tune in and maybe perhaps me even learn something from us.
Beautiful. So now, what probably the first question that we should be asking is why we did this, right? Why are we starting a podcast? Where the vision started? So would you like to start and share, and then I can share my part?
Yeah, no, we've been very blessed, Jose. We've been very blessed to build this mini empire, right? This entrepreneurship together, and I think it's been very rewarding. And in a lot of people ask us like all kinds of things, right? From how did you guys get started? How do you guys work together? What motivates you guys, and just all things real estate, right? And also all things mindset and marriage. So we were called to do this so that maybe we can share a little bit of our story and perhaps you guys can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think thinking back, to realize how and where we are today is going to be super important. For me, I think this is one of the reasons I wanted to come here to be able to help people, continue helping the community, try to help everybody else develop. I do have a lot of people who reaches out to me and asking, hey, so why real estate? Why are you doing what you're doing today? And I think this is so crucial to put that for everybody to be able to know and to see and to kind of learn from the mistakes that we made, that I made, and hopefully something of this, what we said today is going to resonate with them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. The podcast is about, learning how to start with a better mindset.
Yes.
I think for me, that was part of the first thing. If we go back, I say what would the difference was is the mindset, right? So we changed our mindset, and from that point forward, everything changed. Now, I wanted to share a little bit of my story, my why. Probably my biggest why is that, I was on corporate America for many, many years, and it was all fine and dandy, but I used to get out of work late sometimes. We used to come home and be upset, and the kids were not too happy, and I was like, you know what? I need to change that. I need to find something different. And that's when I decided, okay, so I need to do something different. I think this is no longer working for my family.
Yeah.
I used to work in there. I have days of 10 hours. I remember the last time where it really clicked on me was I was called upon at 9 o'clock at night. There was a robbery in one of the stores that I was working, and I had to go back, and I was there until like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was upset. I came home, shower, and then go to work the next day, and that whole weekend was terrible after that. And so at that time I was like, you know what, I need to definitely find something different. I remember having a good friend of us who used to do real estate and mortgages, and I was like, you know what, I think that could be something that we can do. And I know you like to do you always like the mortgages and the banking. So that was my time. That was my moment for me to say, you know what, I need to find something better for my family, something better where I can change that. And from that point, I was like, okay, I wanna grow. I wanna do different. This is no longer good enough for me, and that's how it started for me.
Yeah. And honestly, like the timing of it all was so great because when you express how unhappy you were, and I saw you work so hard, like, I mean, this guy would work, he was very dedicated, managing, quite a bit of stores and responsibility. But around that time that you shared that with me, that same couple that really inspired us, shout out to, Oscar and Veronica on that. I remember having a conversation with Veronica about joining mortgages, and I guess I didn't think it was possible. And the more that I talked about it, I mean, I've been in banking since I was 17. I knew exactly how to read credit reports, how to give credit recommendations. And obviously that's what you do when you're in mortgages. You give recommendations on how to get to the finish line. So it was beautiful that at that time we decided I was going to exit corporate America first, right? And go and test this out, test the market and see how that was doing. And It was amazing. I mean, I do recall more times than none. I literally would get home, guys, and beg him to just not allow me, but give me like the assurance that quitting was okay because I couldn't take it. It was very, very overwhelming learning something completely different. I had been in banking at that time. I think it was like over 20 years. No, over 20 years. Um, Sorry, that's bad math, but bear with me. Anyway, so when I would tell him, I would remember when I would tell you, hey, I really want to quit. I can't do this. This is a lot of responsibility. I remember you telling me you can quit when you're not quitting because it's too hard. So if at the end of the day it doesn't work out and you don't want to do mortgages anymore, that's okay. Go go do what makes you happy, but don't quit because it's getting too hard. And that meant the world for me because I'm a very good convincer. I can convince a lot of people, and I could not convince you on that, and I couldn't quit. And I am so happy that I didn't because we have been very honored and blessed to help a lot of families because it started with me exiting corporate America, and then we started incorporating your exit plan so that we could be a team and help a lot of families.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The funny thing is that I remember being so happy where I was at. I thought I was like, it's gonna be my ending career forever, and I have this plan and this vision of growing and continue. But it got to the point where I think it was just too much, right?
Yeah.
It was too much, too many things, too many hours, and I was like, you know what? I need to find something. And I remember too, we have our struggles, obviously, as a couple.
Yeah.
And we ended up going to that special class that we went to, the
Espacio Vital.
Espacio Vital. Many people probably been through that, and I think that was the moment that also shifted our mindset.
I agree.
And that's why this mindset and wealth is so important because you can have all the hopes and you can have all the dreams that you want, or you can think about different things, but if you don't put first your mindset where it needs to go and needs to be, you never break through that. And I think that was the change for us when we went to that program. That it shifted the mindset, because I remember I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to start doing flips. I wanted to do this. I wanted to buy that. And you're like, no, we can't. And then we went there, and I asked you again, like, hey, let's do that. Okay, do it. And I was like, are you serious? It was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I think that started the whole process of us, shifting the mindset, and more importantly, saying, you know what? I think I can definitely be better. I can definitely do better for myself. I don't have to be what everybody else thinks that they need to be, or I don't have to be categorized on that little box. I can definitely change for the better, right? And then we didn't. We started changing, and we're still evolving. Obviously, we're still growing as a couple, as a family, as everything else, as my business. But definitely, that was the moment of the change, the mindset for sure.
And just to give you a little bit of insight, one of the reasons I was so opposed into like the flipping and doing more investments, like, because you guys have to hear my story too, right? Like, you guys have to, is, we got married and we were like, okay, we're going to buy a house right away. And I'll be honest with you, I think I hated being a homeowner for the whole entire first year. It was a lot of responsibility. Like, there was a saying that you kept telling me, live like no one else so you can eventually live like no one else, right? But guys, like, don't get me wrong, it was hard. We had a lot of bills to pay. We were still trying to get out of debt. So homeownership, it's a commitment. It's an investment. You're going to have to put in more effort. You cannot continue to have your same lifestyle when you just acquired another debt. You know what I mean? So some things do have to change in lifestyle. So I remember, okay, finally our wages were changing. We were getting more comfortable, with our mortgage. And now, okay, let's do something else. And I was like, no, but I just started enjoying the flexibility of having money to spend and do little things like that. So I think that's why it was hard for me to agree with the flipping. But when we went to Espacio Vital, it was very clear. We were a team. We were going to do it together. And I saw your vision. I think being able to see your vision, I was totally okay with saying, okay, it's okay. We're not going to travel. Okay, we're not going to be shopping. We're on to a new venture together.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. And and it started like that, right? So that definitely, if I can tell people something that is very important is, and I think I was talking to one of my cousins about this one point, and the couple that you're with or the person that you're with has a lot to do with where you're at and where you're going. If you're solo, I mean, if you're single, okay, then you have nothing else but yourself to worry about, right? But then if you don't have the right couple with you, someone who's gonna support you and is gonna help you move forward,
Yeah.
I think that has definitely a lot of power to do with it. I have some family members that, one of them, they're doing phenomenal, and you see why, and there's always the wife behind him, supporting him, pushing him,
Yeah.
helping him out. And then I see other ones that unfortunately they're not in the same position because the spouse is not as that, right? So I think having a spouse support you, not necessarily let you do whatever, because
Yeah.
it's not about doing whatever, right? But it's definitely have that support from that spouse is super important to empower, to help, to push, and everything else. It has a lot of power into it. So a couple, I see a lot of the times, either a guy or a lady who is not progressing as much as they could, and then I try to see how their situation is, and sometimes you can see that their couple is not helping them out, or they're not on the same, they're not walking on the same path, so to speak. And I think that's very crucial too for anybody to succeed, is to obviously have your significant other be with you and help you and push you and each other. And sometimes, and we talk about this all the time, like one day I'm great and you're not so good, and so, hey, let's go, I push you forward, right? And then the next day is your turn to do that
Yes,
for
we
me,
take turns.
and then we just go back and forth, and always supporting each other. And it feels nice because recently I have a lot of people who tell me, hey, I wish, you guys do a lot of stuff together. It's like, yeah. And it starts that way. At least for me, that I can tell is that definitely start with the couple that you have, the person that you have next to
Yeah.
you. If they're supportive or they're helping you move forward, they have the same vision, the same thoughts, is really going to help you move forward in life.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that once we started doing the self-development, right, where we focused on, more on our inner work, our business really started booming. So, I think I can't say that word. I think I think one of the keys here for a
Spanish,
successful Spanglish,
Spanglish.
to have a successful business is the more internal work you do, the better the business does. So I know that at the beginning I wanted to like invest in so many things, right? Whether marketing, there's a lot of things you could, invest in the business. But the minute I started investing in myself, the minute we started investing on our personal growth, our businesses, I mean, we've been very, very blessed. But that is so key. I feel that people do it. Well, I was doing it backwards, right? We're like, okay, we're going to do the business. We're going to set it up. And once the business is going and flowing, then we'll have the time to do stuff for ourselves. Now, guys, the minute you work on yourself, that's when your business really booms. So if you get anything from all the topics we're going to talk about, is work on yourself first, and everything will follow, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, family, money, all of it will follow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, if you think a look at like famous people, right? Like basketball players or softball players, they have coaches for almost everything.
Yeah.
They have a personal coach, they have a development coach, they have the gym coach, you name it. And they definitely have not just themselves trying to work it out, right? They have different people who's going to help them out. So usually the first coach you get is probably the gym coach, right? That's the normal one that we all get first and foremost.
Yeah.
And after that, then you start looking, okay, so now I need a business coach, right? That would probably be the second that you probably get. But that's super crucial, no, to start looking into mentorship or coaching, and it helps tremendously, because most people who are very successful, they have coaches, they have mentors. I remember Steve Jobs, for instance, to give an example, even him had a coach and a mentor on business and everything else. So if those people have it, and they are as successful as they are, so that means that there's definitely power on that,
100%.
power on development, on developing yourself as well.
So I'm so happy that you mentioned about coaching because it's so crucial. Like honestly, for self growth, having a personal coach, whether it's in health, personal, business coach, is very very important. Now, we understand that sometimes, guys, you don't have that kind of money to invest in a personal coach. But there's so many different avenues that you can still get really, really good mentorship. I know for us, Espacio Vital, and I know we keep naming it, I mean, it was a weekend thing. And from that weekend, we, went through different stages. I think there was 3 steps of the whole course. But if that's not the something that you can do, whether it's the money or the time or the commitment, there's so many other things you guys can do. I know for me, I read a book that completely changed my mind, which in this case was Think and Grow Rich, which now you do audiobooks. I think I listened to it via YouTube, and I was instantly hooked. So if you guys have not read that book, that is a great starting point, because from that book, your mindset starts shifting, and then you start getting into other books that help you in other areas. Now, Jose, wouldn't you agree? There's a lot of really powerful books. I know that you have had a set of books that you've read that have just completely shifted your mindset.
A lot of books that I can talk about, right? But one in particular that I like a lot is called Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
And that one, what it really talks about is making small changes.
Yes.
Like a 1% change, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while that I read it, but, is making that one small change and do that consistently, changing bad habits with good habits. And I remember I used to, for whatever reason, I used to be late all the time to work sometimes, or like rushing to get to that one place. And I switched the, getting things done a little bit earlier, waking up a little bit earlier, just so I can get everything that I need to get done so I can go to that place. And it's all thanks to that book, right? So it talks about, not just that. Sometimes we want to make this big changes or like we want to flip it like 100%, and it's difficult. If you have a habit of doing something that is bad, you can't change it from one day to the next. I mean, there's people who have, but it's going to be very difficult. But if you start making some small tweaks, so as an example, if you're a smoker and you want to stop smoking, you probably won't do it cold turkey, right? So the book talks about, okay, so if you smoke 24 cigarettes a day, start with 23.
Yeah.
Just do 23, hold it for a week,
Yeah.
and then 22. And then gradually you get into, eventually you're doing one a day.
Yeah.
And then eventually one every 2 days, and so on and so forth. So that small change, where it might seem insignificant, but it will take you to where you want to be eventually. A lot of the times we want to get to that goal tomorrow. We want to get to the goal now.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, right? But
Yeah.
if we make that small change, and then we work through that, and we make it a habit every single day, it's going to be so much easier to get to that goal that you really want to be. So I think that book is phenomenal to start with. Another one too, right now we're actually reading, is called the Alter Ego Effect.
Yeah.
I think that's a great book. I'm still barely going through some of the pages, so I'm not fully through it yet. But I think one of the biggest things that talks about it, and Anthony, our CEO, talks about this all the time, like, Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, right? So he's a Kobe Bryant normally, but then he has this alter ego of the Black Mamba. And sometimes he's like, hey, so what's going to wake up the Black Mamba today, right? So he's going to, obviously, he plays in a whole different way when he's on this alter ego. And it talks about what is your alter ego.
Yeah.
You're Superman, okay, or Superwoman, or whatever that alter ego might be for you, who you are, who you want to be, and tapping into that alter ego is going to be super important. I think that's a phenomenal book for people to read. I'm excited to continue reading it. I'm not fully through that yet, and it's that. So for me, so far, it's like, okay, so I am a great leader, so I'm going to focus on precisely that, instead of thinking, oh, should I be a great leader? Oh, do I want to be a great leader? Like, no, I am, and I am today.
Yeah.
And have that thought process.
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal. Now, changing a little bit, I know you talk about that one book. What do you like that book?
The Think and Grow Rich. I think
Yeah.
that's where I understood how mindset can really shift things, because the minute you think you can be rich, you start attracting those situations that are going to set you up for that. So, and it's an easy read. I felt like that from that book, I was able to read more complex books because it brought me to it opened up my mindset. I guess just in general, it opened up my mindset that you could definitely just design the life that you want.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's phenomenal. What other books you have in mind that you like?
There's a lot of books. So, not every book is going to work for everyone.
Well,
I
of course
just
not.
think finding that one book, and I connected a lot with how I feel. Like, how is that book making me feel? Because sometimes there would be books where I'm like, I'm not connecting with the book. But I would try to force myself to read it because, it worked for somebody else. And no, it's not that way. In my opinion, you got to start reading a book that is lighting up whatever fire you have inside. And if it's not doing that, I don't think there's a one book that is going to do it. You have to find that one. And with Audible right now, like I could do it when I'm driving. I used to get in the car and blast music. And I love my corridos. I love my banda.
Ahua!
Yes. So what I started doing is listening to these audiobooks in the morning. And, it does make a difference because now that I get into work, I have like all these ideas. Whereas before I don't know, some of these songs could be a little bit toxic. So the message wasn't very, very good. So when I, replace that with audibles, it makes a whole difference for the day.
Interesting. I heard someone say this to me once, like, hey, I like the hard book more than the audiobook,
Audible.
right? I
Yeah.
don't know why, but he says something, look, I think it's a good idea for you to do both.
Yes.
As you're driving to work or whatever the case might be, listen to the audiobook and then come back and read that section.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful. And I've been doing that, and it's actually good because I remember what I heard, and then I go back and read it and then do my highlights.
Yeah.
It could be a little overkill, maybe, but it kind of helps out too as well.
Yeah.
Because I definitely like more the actual pick up the book and read it and
Like
take the
to
time
read
to
it.
read the book more than the audiobooks. But a lot of people that I know, they love the audiobooks
Yeah.
more than anything. They don't even own a book, but they have like a library full of
The books on
books that they
Audible. That's me.
they listen to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. So, and that could be coaching. That is, you're coaching yourself, and that kind of opens up the vessel for other opportunities in the future.
That's true.
So,
That's true. There's a lot of YouTube channels you can go to.
Yeah.
One of us, ours is one of
ours,
them.
our podcast.
The podcast is one of them that you can listen to. But there's definitely a ton of
Yeah.
like YouTube channels that you can listen to, and it can help you, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, if you want to change and if you're looking for your mindset to change, there's definitely a lot of things that you can do to do so. But it starts with you. It starts with you wanted to make that change and really look for that.
Yeah.
But I think for today, this is going to be our first
Yes.
episode. Super excited and happy, a little nervous, of course. How
Yes.
do you feel about your first episode?
Yeah, we learned a lot from this episode, but I absolutely love it.
All right. So every other Friday, we're going to have the podcast. So please subscribe to our channel. We're going to be talking about mindset, about real estate, about wealth. Obviously, mindset has as you can hear us on the first thing, I think for us, mindset is definitely probably the star and the center of everything. But every other Friday, 5 o'clock, we'll be happy to have you guys with us.
Guys, thank you so much for sticking to the end. We truly enjoy you guys spending time with us. Make sure to follow us on your favorite social media. And we will see you next time on our next episode of Mindset and Wealth, where we help one another build an empire.